on track for YYC, the plan for a rail line to Calgary's airport and beyond. Pipeline options.
It shows that there's multiple ports that we're having a look at.
But will BC oppose Alberta's proposals? And trying out a career with animals.
And we're happy to bring them in and encourage them and show them what other opportunities exist.
The next generation of vets gets to see what it's like. Good afternoon. We begin with breaking news. A pedestrian has been taken to the Foothills Hospital in life-threatening condition after getting hit by a vehicle. It happened just before 4 p.m. at the intersection of Bow Trail and 37th Street in the southwest. A witness tells us the person was crossing when they were hit by a commercial truck. The intersection is closed while police investigate and traffic is being rerouted. Officers are asking drivers to avoid the area if they can. We'll have an update on the incident coming up on our news at 6. The province has released its passenger rail master plan with routes connecting Calgary's airport to downtown, Banff, Edmonton, and even some nearby communities. Alicia Fieldberg joins us from the airport. So, Alicia, how soon could passengers be riding these rails?
And it's likely a few years until even the first portion is built, but the entire vision is expected to take about 30 years to build. Now, the first part would be to connect Calgary Airport here to downtown Calgary. The government says that would be an airport train linking to Calgary's Blue Line LRT extension. Alberta's full passenger rail vision could cost at least $60 billion. Rail lines connecting Calgary and Edmonton's airports to their city cores will be the first projects in the province's passenger rail master plan, because that's what Albertans flagged as a priority. These sections should be relatively simple to build compared to Albertans' other priority, high-speed rail between Edmonton and Calgary, which will be built on undeveloped land. Also part of the plan is a train between Calgary and Banff and connections to some smaller communities such as Airdrie.
We're also planning for a network of commuter and regional rail that will connect to Edmonton and Calgary's LRT systems and international airport to make it easier and faster and safer for Albertans to get where they need to go.
Over the next 3 years, Alberta plans to put $15 million toward planning this out, including looking at how to create a central location downtown where trains will meet and connect to the upcoming Calgary Event Centre in the future. Ian?
Thanks very much, Alicia. Alberta's transportation minister won't publicly share how he plans to vote in October's separatism referendum.
I see the media has been asking lots of politicians what their opinion and what their singular vote is going to be. But I do find it interesting that I haven't seen a lot of pressure on the federal government to see what they're going to do, because it is the federal government's primary responsibility to make sure that the country stays together.
That was Devin Dreeshen's response when specifically asked if he would vote for Alberta to remain in Canada or in favor of a binding referendum on separatism. He never did say how he will vote. To date, only 10 UCP MLAs have publicly said they will be choosing to remain in Canada. The Premier doesn't believe fraud will be a problem when healthcare numbers are added to driver's licenses. Danielle Smith says Alberta driver's licenses have 57 security features to protect against fraud, and it hasn't been an issue in BC, where they've already combined the cards. Smith also believes the change will actually increase the level of security because healthcare numbers will now have a photo and address attached to them. Alberta's Privacy Commissioner continues to encourage the province to introduce extra security safeguards.
What that tells me is that they're taking steps so that the card can't be replicated. So that's important. But the number is visible. And if the number is visible, that means it can be collected by any person that has access to the card.
McLeod also points out the Registrar of Motor Vehicles is not legally bound by provincial privacy laws. The province is currently doing a privacy impact assessment. The new identification cards will begin rolling out on July 2nd. The Alberta government says it will be ready to submit its West Coast pipeline proposal to the Major Projects Office by July 1st. Tyson Fedor is live inside the BMO Centre, where the UCP is hosting an event. And Tyson, the Premier says there are 5 proposed routes on the table.
And Ian, one of those is proposed to southwestern BC to the Vancouver area, while 4 others would run through northern BC to the north coast around the Prince Rupert area. But at this time, a final choice has not been made yet. Now, the proposed routes were leaked this week, which drew criticism of one First Nation group in northern BC. The Nisga'a-Lism's government sees several of the proposed routes go through their land and across the Nass River. The group says it has held no discussions with the Alberta government or Ottawa and was not aware the corridors or port locations on its land were even being considered. It does add that nothing can happen without its consent. Now, BC Premier David Eby says there's no world that a pipeline going through northern BC will happen that requires the federal tanker ban to be lifted.
It shows that there's multiple ports that we're having a look at, one in the south and multiple ones in the Prince Rupert area. But what we're looking at is feasibility, what makes the most sense, the easiest route from an engineering point of view, cost-effective point of view. How do we get closer to being straight on a deep water port so that there's less navigation? All of those things are going in.
Now, coming up at 7 o'clock, Premier Smith is expected to address about 2,000 UCP delegates here at the BMO Centre, as she will have a 25-minute speech prepared. Her goal is to bring optimism to a party facing friction within its ranks when it comes to the issue on separatism, and she's hoping that this new pipeline can mend those broken ties. Ian?
Tyson, thank you. A First Nation in northern Alberta wants Ottawa to review Kevin O'Leary's proposal for an AI data centre. The Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation says the provincial government is, quote, bending over backwards for the Wonder Valley project. The project, backed by the Shark Tank entrepreneur, would be built near Sturgeon Lake. And the First Nation says the province is not doing enough consultation with its members and leadership.
It's one of our biggest challenges right now, like not only First Nations, but the average Albertan, the average Canadian. We don't have a robust regulatory system to have these data centers.
In a statement, Alberta's Technology and Innovation Ministry says no special treatment is given to any project, and data centers, like any other industrial applicant in Alberta, need to follow the same environmental rules and regulations. Calgary police are investigating after a man was shot this morning. Police say just after 6, the man who was shot approached a southeast home asking for help. The victim was taken to hospital in stable condition. No one is in custody. Police say the shooting is believed to be targeted, and the investigation is ongoing. And police are looking for help to identify 1 man and 4 women who may have been involved in an assault at the Lions Park LRT station. Emergency crews responded to the Sunnyside LRT station around 5:30 yesterday afternoon for reports of an injured person. A woman suffered serious injuries and is recovering in hospital. During the investigation, police determined the assault happened around 1:30 in a grassy area south of the Lions Park LRT station platform. If you have any information, please call police or Crime Stoppers. From garlic knots to mango smoothies, some select purchases at a downtown market will be helping kids receive healthy meals. First Street Market is partnering with Brown Bagging for Calgary Kids for the month of June. All month long, each purchase of a featured item at a vendor will lead to a $4 donation, enough for 1 nutritious lunch for a child in need.
Just about 2 in 5 kids in Calgary is living in a household that experiences some form of food insecurity, and that has an impact on their physical health, mental health, their social connection, their community, their learning, everything about their experience. And so making sure that kids have access to the food they need is so fundamental.
The campaign runs until the end of June. Danielle joins us now, and we're looking at the weather cooling off for the weekend.
Yeah, so make the best of Saturday, for most of Saturday anyway, because we still have late day shower possibilities. But Sunday will be a bit of a cooler, gloomier day. So Saturday, enjoy the brightness that we had out there today. There's a lot going on just to the north of us. We've had this band of instability, moisture, showers, and to the far north there is a lot of thunderstorm activity. We're not dealing with that in the south end today, but we do have the risk of some little isolated showers creeping in because of what's going on to the north of us as it starts to shift south a little bit. Oh my goodness, it's Friday and I can't talk. 19 degrees is the temperature right now. Looking at your 24-hour forecast is brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, family owned, community driven. Discover more at Fifth Avenue Volkswagen. Tomorrow is very similar to today. Temperatures are very similar. The small risk of a late day shower or thunderstorm. Your full forecast is just ahead.
Thanks, Danielle. Well, no one messes with the boss. Just ahead, Banff's infamous grizzly bear says you can't keep track of him. And there's nothing like hands-on experience. Aspiring vets get up close and personal with patients. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. Students interested in veterinary medicine got some hands-on experience today. The program is geared toward grade 9 through 12 students. They spend the day learning a few skills from U of C veterinary students. Those include suturing, knot tying, and listening to a horse's heart and lungs. This Youth Veterinary Science Challenge is a joint effort between the Calgary Stampede and the University of Calgary. It's designed to inspire the next generation of veterinarians.
There's an awful lot of different things that one can do with a veterinary degree, and so they can come here and learn about it. So that's why I say there's some that are already very fixed, very keen, know what they want to do, and there's others who are just interested to find more about it, and we're happy to bring them in and encourage them and show them what other opportunities exist.
The skills the students learned today will be put to the test in a competition tomorrow. This spring, Parks Canada has been collaring grizzly bears in Banff National Park, but famed Bruin the Boss managed to slip his off within a week. The Boss was outfitted with a tracking collar on May 13th. Experts say his ability to remove it isn't unusual for large male grizzlies. Their neck size makes it easier to slip off compared to younger males or females. Parks Canada says the GPS data provided through collaring helps better manage grizzlies and their habitat. We should also note, because of bears in the area, a no stopping zone is now in effect for the 1A highway between Baker Creek Chalets and Protection Mountain Campground. The boss is very
terrifying.
Intimidating indeed. I love seeing pictures of him. And that's about it.
From afar, yeah.
You know, there's so much rain earlier this week that I think a lot of lawns and gardens are completely overgrown.
Overgrown and very green, and a little more to add in this longer range forecast, but nothing like what we've had. But it's not perfectly stable over these next 5 days, just so you know. There's a couple things to talk about here. In the city, depending on which way you look, one way you can see more blue sky, the other way you see more cloud cover. There's a lot going on just to the north of us. It's creating these winds. There's a look at the cloud cover. Nice job, Lane, in the control room. Okay, so we have a lot going on to the north of us. They have severe thunderstorm watches and warnings in place. So while we had that in the south yesterday, today it's up further north. 19 degrees right now in the city, but we did get up to 20. We were sitting at 20 for much of the afternoon hours. 22 is the temperature in Lethbridge and 25 in Medicine Hat. So we'll hold on to a lot of this warmth for tomorrow, and then things will start to cool down for Sunday. 48 was our max gust in the city today. Tomorrow we'll gust up to 40 kilometers per hour once again. So a very similar day tomorrow in the city. 59 was the max in Pincher Creek, and in those 50s for Lethbridge. All right, so there's a look at all that activity that's going on central and pushing up into northern Alberta, but it's from a whole band of instability that you can see here. I want to zoom in so you can see where Olds is catching just the edge of it. This is starting to shift south, so there is the small chance we could see a couple raindrops in the city as we head through these next few hours. Very small chance of any sort of thunderstorm activity. Most of that activity should be north of Red Deer as we head through the rest of today. This band of moisture and instability will be in place once again for tomorrow, and it has the potential to shift south and just peak into Calgary. So fast forward to late day tomorrow and or 9 a.m. There will be some cloud cover at times, especially in the southeast corner. Also some sunny breaks. And then in the afternoon, we have a small chance of getting an isolated shower, even smaller chance of any sort of thunderstorm activity. It should really just behave a lot like we had today. Fast forward though to Sunday, and Sunday we have this system that will actually just start to circle closer to us, and that will push in. We have a much greater chance of rainfall on Sunday, especially by 4 p.m. and it could kick off with some thunderstorm activity down QE2 and Highway 2, and then we have more consistent rainfall through Sunday night. that will carry until about 5 a.m. on Monday morning and then clear out of the way. So at that point, when you're looking at late Sunday through early Monday, we'll pick up a couple millimeters of rain in the city. So 18 degrees tomorrow, small risk of any sort of late day shower or thunderstorm, especially after 4 p.m. Similar idea for Sunday, but by Sunday at 4 p.m. we have a greater chance of showers and thunderstorm activity. And on Sunday, just a high of 15 degrees.
Thanks, Danielle. The man who led the Calgary Flames to a Stanley Cup victory has passed away.
Another well-deserved honor, we might say. He has done a tremendous job.
Cliff Fletcher was the Flames' general manager when they won the Stanley Cup in 1989. Fletcher moved to Calgary with the Atlanta Flames in 1980 and oversaw the team in the 80s. He later went to Toronto and took a similar position with the Maple Leafs, leading them to the conference finals in 1993 and 94. Fletcher was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame as a builder in 2004. He was 90 years old. Millions of Canadians are getting a little extra cash in their accounts. Still to come, Ottawa's payment meant to offset the high cost of groceries. Both Canada and the U.S. report relatively good jobs data. Joining me is Liana Washniak, investment advisor with the Popowich-Karmali Advisory Group. And Liana, stronger than expected U.S. jobs data put a damper on Wall Street.
Yeah, and that would be probably a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. That 4.3% unemployment rate remained relatively steady. The U.S. job market looks like it's a little bit in a frozen pattern right now, meaning basically their people aren't really they don't really willing to leave the positions that they're currently in, so they're not actively seeking new ones. They're also in a bit of a situation right now where they have less migration to the country, so there's fewer people who are actually looking for work, and more of the baby boom generation retiring, which means that for people who are looking for work, there are positions opening up. So that is kind of allowing the overall rate to stay relatively the same on the unemployment front. But however, that is inflationary when it comes to the overall labor market. That does put a little bit of pressure on the U.S. Fed, and the market today was a little bit worried that we might actually see a rate increase by the end of the year when it comes to interest rates by the U.S. Fed. So that's what put the damper on Wall Street today.
Also, Canada's unemployment rate fell in May.
That's right. And this was a bit of a surprise for economists. Economists were only looking to have about 10,000 jobs created in the month of May. Instead, we saw a number of 87,800 new jobs in the month of May, which pushed down the unemployment rate here in Canada to 6.6%. That comes off a 6-month high and actually gets back about 80% of the jobs that we lost over the first half of the year. So a better than expected job report overall for Canadians. We actually saw a number of areas tick down, including youth unemployment dropped slightly for the first time since January. So overall, a pretty good and surprisingly good print for Canadian unemployment.
Liana, thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
One of the federal government's key affordability measures takes effect today for roughly 12 million Canadians. The Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit is for Canadians who receive a GST rebate. The federal government says quarterly payment amounts will increase by 25% for 5 years, providing additional support to low-income Canadians. Eligibility is determined by the Canada Revenue Agency when people file their tax returns. Sunwing and WestJet Vacations are indefinitely suspending operations in Cuba. Sunwing Vacations Group says it will be reaching out to travelers to offer refunds or arrange an alternate destination. Starting tomorrow, transactions for Visa and MasterCard in Cuba will be suspended as part of the pressure being placed on the Caribbean island by the U.S. For months, Cuban residents have endured blackouts, food and fuel shortages because of the American oil embargo. The province says a rail line from downtown Calgary to the airport is a priority. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. The province updated its 30-year rail master plan today. The UCP says its first key project will be train connections to airports, to Alberta's 2 largest cities, but construction won't be starting soon. Coming up at 6, what the CEO of Calgary's airport thinks of the plan. Also ahead, Alberta's privacy commissioner is raising serious concerns about healthcare numbers and citizenship markers being added to driver's licenses. Coming up, we'll have reaction from Calgary drivers. Ian.
Thank you, Tara. People might have to dodge a few raindrops this weekend, especially on Sunday. It looks rather damp then. Right now, though, in Calgary, 19 degrees. Danielle has details coming up. The city of Lethbridge is taking steps to prevent algae from blooming at Henderson Lake. Solar-powered water circulators have been installed, along with 15 aerators to keep the oxygen moving. Every 2 weeks, water samples will be analyzed. Some types of algae, including blue-green, can be toxic to people and pets. Well, those images from Lethbridge look really nice and sunny today, but not a whole lot of sunshine this weekend, kind of a mixture.
Yeah, like tomorrow we'll have a good amount of sunshine, but also some cloudy periods. And tomorrow will be more like a Groundhog Day, wash, rinse, repeat, all that kind of stuff. We had the same idea yesterday as we have today as we have tomorrow, where there will be some sunshine, but in the afternoon there is a small chance of some isolated showers and then an even smaller risk of thunderstorm activity. 19 is the current temperature. We did get to 20 degrees today. For tomorrow, similar temperatures, and again, that small risk of any sort of late afternoon shower or thunderstorm. We have a greater chance later on Sunday, that's for sure, and we'll pick up about 1 to 2 millimeters of rain late Sunday in through early Monday. Monday, mainly sunny, 18 degrees.
Thanks, Danielle. To celebrate the birth of Canadian author Lucy Maud Montgomery 150 years ago, a traveling exhibition called Kindred Spirits is making a stop in Calgary. The exhibition contains information about Montgomery and her career writing the classic Anne of Green Gables and the Emily series. But it also has book art created by members of the Canadian Bookbinders and Book Artists Guild. The Calgary chapter is hosting this exhibition and says it's a chance to see pieces inspired by Montgomery and her characters that have touched so many Canadians over more than a century. On Monday night, organizers are hosting an opening reception with the hands-on component.
We'll also have a table with what we call a make and take, and that's this here. So we have a couple of pages that you'll come and fold and bind this little pamphlet.
The exhibition runs until the end of the month at the Central Library. Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.